To be honest, boxing's never seen nothing like this in the history of boxing. Since it began 250 years ago, it's never seen anything like this. I believe this is going to be great for boxing. I believe we're going to win.
He's going to have after the fight is over, then so be it. I'm already in a no-win situation anyway. To me, it's a win-win. But I'm in a no-win because if I knock him out fast in the first round, they're going to be like, oh man, this wasn't worth it. If I let it go a few rounds and drag it out, they're going to be like, oh man.
I've always been in the gym training. I'm boxing professional fighters. Activity is great. I had 15 fights in 1 year when I was younger. And I think activity is great, but I'm prepared. I'm just ready to go.
Let's get one thing absolutely straight before we dive into this beautiful, chaotic, glorious mess of a story. Nobody in the history of combat sports has ever looked at two legends.
Shouldn't even bring that shit up no more.
No, they should bring it up. They should see the difference from there to now.
Gotcha.
Me at my worst, to me at the biggest event in the history of events right now. There's never been any bigger than this. So what they have to say about that?
What does that say about you if you lose?
Well, I'm not gonna lose. So I can't even fathom losing. I can't even imagine it. I think he thinks this is gonna be a very easy night. It's not gonna be an easy night.
Both well past their prime, preparing for what is technically an exhibition fight, and thought this is fine, this is normal, this is how sports are supposed to work. And yet, here we are. Here we absolutely, magnificently are.
Been on cruise control, go out there, have some fun, and do what I do best. And that's beat Floyd Mayweather.
The fighter's waiting for his money. By the time he gets his money, everybody else took their percentage out already. So you don't know who's who. You get what they give you.
You look good. How you feeling physically?
Incredible.
You've been training?
Listen, I was wearing an extra large. It looks like I'm wearing large.
Because Mike Tyson is back in the gym looking like a man possessed by the ghost of 1988, Floyd Mayweather is floating around the ring like time itself forgot to touch him. And somewhere in a boardroom at Netflix, executives are popping champagne bottles and laughing all the way to their fifth yacht. This isn't just a boxing story.
I'm in the perfect place now. Where's Mike? Put everything together. So mentally, physically, we're excited, man. Excited. If the fight was next Saturday, you will be ready for. We talk about Roy was 4 years ago. Today, Mike is much better than he was when he fought.
This is a cultural event, a spectacle, a glorious circus with two of the greatest performers who ever laced up a pair of gloves standing right in the center of the ring, daring the world to look away. Spoiler alert. Nobody is looking away.
It's easy because Floyd always was the bad guy. Once again, he's gonna be the bad guy. And I think that if there's any way to try to remove his O, it may happen.
Let's start with the man, the myth, the absolute force of nature that is Mike Tyson, his trainer. A man who has presumably seen a lot in his years around the sport, is making claims.
Okay.
Round one. Oh, few. Cut the ring. Exactly. Cut the ring. Exactly.
Claims so bold, they should come with a legal disclaimer. According to the people in Tyson's corner, Iron Mike doesn't just look good.
As much money as we can while we can, and then get out of the sport. But with these two, they're multi-millionaires. And I want to get into the tail of the tape and talk about exactly the records and all of that stuff with it. But first, I just want to say, I believe that these are doing this for different things. Mike Tyson is doing it purely for the money. Purely for the money. Floyd is doing it for the money as well, but also, I believe Floyd's doing it for that limelight. You've seen the numbers that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul got, and I think this is the most viewed fight of all time, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. I might be wrong in saying that, but I'm sure it was. It was hosted on Netflix. And Floyd's been one in the past with his ego that he wants to just, be in that limelight all the time. And when you're not in the limelight all the time, you want to...
He doesn't just look decent for his age or respectable or whatever polite thing people say when a legend comes back and you're trying to be kind. No.
Hook right here. Right here, hook. Hook here. Hook right here. Slide and drop. Punch it, wait it, here we go. Drop, drop. Walk it, walk it, walk it. Hitch it. Hitch it. Sit. Sit. Punch it. Hitch it. Shut. Look at it. Watch it, watch it. I step back like I have my distance. That's why I step back. See, I have my distance. Fighters don't know their distance.
These people are standing in front of cameras with straight faces telling the world that Mike Tyson looks stronger and sharper than he did years ago. Years ago, as in... The version of Tyson that was already making professional heavyweight fighters reconsider their career choices with a single glare. That version.
Just taking on Mike Tyson of all people, I mean, that's the most money-motivated thing I've ever heard. It's utterly bizarre. And I don't want to see Mike Tyson anywhere near the ring again, especially after that Jake Paul fiasco. This whole thing's incredibly weird. I don't like it. I'm a proper boxing fan, and these fights to me, this OAP stuff they've got going on where they bring back these old fighters for one more go at each other, it's just not something that I particularly enjoy. Now look, it's going to be on Netflix. It's probably going to be a massive event. I'm probably going to end up covering it because they are two former champions of note and it is going to go on their professional records. But if you thought the first fight wasn't particularly entertaining, I can't imagine this one's going to be much better. The one thing I will say is that I believe Pacquiao's in better condition than I realized after the effort he put in against Matt.
Apparently, the current version is better. Let that sink in for a moment. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Because either Tyson has discovered some kind of physical fountain of youth hidden in his training camp, or his team has collectively decided that audacious confidence is the best marketing strategy known to mankind.
Has not had a proper fight in such a long time, which you could argue means he won't be as sharp in the ring. But then on the other hand, Pacquiao's had way more fights than Mayweather has, so you could argue he's got less left in the tank. It's difficult to figure out what it means for either guy, and we don't really know which way it's going to go. But I guess if I'm being really honest, as much as I don't love it, there's always going to be a little bit of intrigue there. Kind of don't like myself for it, but I'm just being honest with you guys. And I think if we want to have a real conversation about what this fight represents is a continued frustration around the truth about the first fight, which was that it came too late and it turned into more and more of a cash grab. This fight embodies that to a whole new level. Even for the broadcaster Netflix, I don't believe they're truly invested in the sport of boxing. They'll take one-off big events that get them more subscribers, that increase their revenue, that increase their subscription base, but they don't really care about the sport. If they did, they'd be putting on a lot more events than just these mega fights that involve, influencers and fighters that are well past.
And honestly, both explanations are equally entertaining. But here's the thing that makes it genuinely compelling rather than just hype. The reports from sparring sessions back it up. There are glimpses, actual, real, documented glimpses of that explosive brilliance that once made Mike Tyson the single most feared man on the planet. The combination speed.
Let's talk about Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson in the Congo. Is that now scrapped? Why are they announcing this several months before the event? I mean, is it a massive build-up? I mean, when you think about it, most fights are announced 3 months, 4 before an event. This one, September. We are in February, people. Like, what is going on? I mean, what are Netflix doing? Netflix are kind of, obviously, they're picking up and putting on really random stuff. like Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. If you are an MMA fan, that fight was supposed to happen way more than a decade ago. Way more than a decade ago. They're doing it now. Will it get big numbers? I guess it kind of will. They've obviously done the Jake Paul stuff. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul versus AJ. They done massive numbers. Crawford Canelo, a serious fight, and then
head movement, the terrifying suddenness of it all. The conditioning is reportedly improved. The focus is locked in. And Tyson himself, never a man known for half measures or quiet dedication, has been extraordinarily vocal about what this preparation actually looks like.
Massive Floyd fan. Like, my journey into boxing, obviously when I was young, it was very much Mike Tyson, but then it went and became a UK thing. The ITV days of, I don't know, Ben Eubank, etc., Michael Watson, and then eventually Joe Calzaghe, Prince Nassim, etc., etc. My reason for going back and watching American boxing is solely down to Floyd. Like, I was obsessed with everything Floyd Mayweather did. I thought he was a genius when it comes to marketing and a genius in the ring. Like, it's very rare that the two go together, which is why I think everyone kind of fell in love with Conor McGregor, right? Because Conor McGregor was a genius outside the ring in terms of how to sell a fight. And in the octagon, he actually proved that he can fight as well. Floyd, obviously on a completely different level, but you know what I mean? Very similar. Someone that talks the talk and walks the walk. And Floyd most certainly.
He's not showing up to the gym 3 times a week and calling it a comeback. The man is running. Seriously running. In a demanding, disciplined, old-school routine that strips away any notion that this is some kind of nostalgic victory lap.
Had financial troubles because of the money he owed to the IRS, because of the terrible, terrible business and real estate investments that he's made, and apparently some of these have gone under, and he is owed back rent, or he is owing back rent, and he is delinquent on a lot of payments for a lot of different things right now. These things seem to have added up for Floyd, and now it's pretty apparent that not only is he doing these, bank robbery style exhibitions, but it looks like he absolutely needs to do it, which is very, very sad. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Floyd Mayweather as an individual outside of the ring, but I never want to see athletes have their money mismanaged or mismanage their own money so badly that they go broke in retirement, and it looks like that's kind of what's happening. And here's a snippet from Business Insider because it made me want to pay for the entire article.
Or a casual stroll back into the spotlight, Tyson is stressing fundamentals, technique, discipline, total dedication. These are not the words of a man cashing a check. These are the words of someone who genuinely, almost frighteningly, wants to hurt somebody.
Strongly denies any kind of financial distress, but the headlines aren't slowing down. $54 million alleged dollars in debt. So it makes sense why they would want to do this, and it's strictly for money. Let's be honest. This is a clear money grab, but this is going to be a terrible fight. This is not going to be a fight that anyone outside of watching Mike Tyson walk to the ring and the idea that maybe he'll knock out the little guy in Floyd that Tyson for a long time didn't like. For a long time called Floyd a small little angry man or a small little scared man because he couldn't walk his kids to school by himself, mainly because Floyd had, he kind of disrespected Muhammad Ali, who was Mike Tyson's favorite fighter and one that he would never put himself above. But Mike's 60 years old, and if there was a time for Mike to get him and knock him out or whatever, it never would have happened because they were in completely different weight classes and XYZ. If you wanted to settle it outside of boxing, that's one thing, but now they're stepping into this exhibition. There's not going to be any weight classes.
And then there is Floyd Mayweather. Pretty boy, Money May. The man who built an entire undefeated career on the revolutionary and apparently deeply controversial concept of being incredibly difficult to punch after an extended period away from elite competition. Because when you're 50-0 and you've made more money than most countries' GDP, taking a break is perfectly understandable.
Economic times, there's economic challenges. These corporations and companies, they're looking to make profit. And if they put out a pay-per-view, and a lot of people, another thing is the fighters. I'm blaming the fighters too, because there's a lot of guys, they're not bigger than the fighters of yesteryear. That's why you can have a Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson, whose brands are so big. This is going to be a big fight. It's going to be, just because it's a freak show, circus fight, whatever you want to say. Some people are going to be mad at it. I don't want to see it, blah, blah, blah. But the curiosity is always going to get the best of the masses, especially if they put this on Netflix or Amazon or whoever, right? And that's the reality. A lot of these new fighters, Gen Z fighters, people under 30.
Mayweather has returned to the gym, and according to everyone who has witnessed it, Absolutely nothing has changed. The reflexes are still razor sharp. The speed is still there, taunting everyone who thought Father Time would eventually catch up to a man who seems to have made a private arrangement with the universe to simply never slow down. The composure is immaculate. The defensive mastery is surgical. Mayweather, as he has done his entire career, looks like a man who exists in a completely different dimension of the sport. One where punches simply don't land because he's already 3 steps ahead of wherever you thought he was going to be. His philosophy, as it has always been, is deceptively simple and endlessly complex at the same time. Hit and not get hit. 5 words that sound like something you'd tell a child on their first day at the gym, but somehow represent the pinnacle of boxing intelligence when applied by a man who has spent decades perfecting every single angle, every slip, every shoulder roll, every half step backward that turns a devastating punch into a gentle breeze. Mayweather doesn't just avoid punches, he makes you feel stupid for throwing them. He makes you question your entire understanding of geometry and timing, and whether you've ever actually understood the sport you've dedicated your life to. That's the genius. That's what makes this matchup so deliciously, absurdly fascinating. Now let's talk about the part of the story that the purists don't want to talk about, but absolutely everyone else finds completely fascinating. The money. The business. The glorious, unashamed commercial machinery humming underneath all of this fighting talk and training footage. Because make no mistake, this isn't just 2 legends settling old scores or proving something to themselves or the world. This is Netflix needing subscribers. This is platforms needing moments. This is the entertainment industry recognizing that 2 iconic names attached to a boxing match can drive millions of new signups overnight and deliver the kind of global engagement that no scripted drama or documentary series can manufacture. The Tyson versus Jake Paul event reportedly pulled in millions of new Netflix subscribers. Millions. From a single fight. Analysts like Simon Jordan have been pointing at these numbers with barely concealed amazement, explaining how these events function as commercial vehicles as much as sporting contests, and they are completely right. The business model is genius precisely because it doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is, a spectacle designed to capture attention at the largest possible scale. Which brings us to the fascinating and genuinely important distinction that Wade Plemons and others have been careful to make. These are exhibitions, not competitive bouts, not fights that impact official records or championship rankings, or the formal legacy of either man in the statistical sense. Nobody is winning a belt here. Nobody is threatening their undefeated record or officially adding a loss to a career scorecard. What they're doing is remaining visible, staying active, engaging an audience that loves them and wants to see them perform without the full, brutal weight of sanctioned title fight stakes pressing down on every single exchange. It's a different kind of contest. Part sport, part entertainment, part living legend, performance art. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, there is something rather wonderful about it. 2 of the greatest to ever do it, still doing it, on their own terms for an audience that still shows up in enormous numbers. And then there is the matchup itself, the clash, the contrast that makes this so irresistible to anyone who has ever loved boxing even a little bit. Tyson's explosive forward pressure against Mayweather's defensive brilliance. Knockout power against ring IQ. Aggression against patience. The man who wants to destroy you in the first 30 seconds against the man who wants to make those first 30 seconds look like an embarrassing audition. It's a philosophical argument settled with fists. It has been brewing for years, layered with personal friction and trash talk and the kind of mutual disrespect that only 2 supremely confident legends can generate. Both men are loudly, publicly, completely certain they win. The psychological war started long before either of them steps into the ring. And honestly, that's exactly how it should be. Because this is Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather. Subtle was never on the menu.